You've seen me throw this vase, now let's trim it. This is a chuck that I made myself and it's been through the bisque firing. About a month ago, I promised myself that I would carve out some times to work on vases, especially the tall and skinny vases with narrow necks that I want to practice more on. I had planned to make a chuck for those vases instead of using the shorter studio chucks and really big clay lugs. So far, I'm pretty happy with this chuck. I also leveled it flat with a diamond sanding pad. There is plenty of clearance between my vase and the top of the wheel head. Still, it's kind of scary to trim something this tall and on the skinnier side, so there's something that I do a little bit different. But first, let me explain the things I always do for trimming vases. I first position the vase so that the base is level, and I check this with a bubble level. It's just so much faster to have this tool. I secure the vase to the chuck with little clay lugs. Then I center the vase by moving the chuck. Once the vase is centered, I secure the chuck to the wheel head with clay lugs. Now, it doesn't matter if the chuck is not centered, as long as the vase on top is centered. Here's a few things I do differently for this vase. Instead of trimming on very fast wheel speed, I actually go on a medium wheel speed. I trimmed this vase on the softer side, alternating between tungsten carbide trimming tool and a carving loop tool. And of course, a lot of potters don't trim the bottom of the vases. That saves them a lot of time for sure. But for me, I like to match the bottom of the vase with the neck or the top of it. So I think a vase with a tall, skinny, elegant flare neck should sit tall and proud. And something with a more minimalist opening could have a more simple, understated base. So the final form is something that I think of in advance when I throw the vase. That way I can leave enough clay at the base to decide how to trim. And finally, before I started trimming, I soaked the chuck in water for a few minutes. The reason is bisqueware is very thirsty, so it will draw moisture from the clay lugs, and dry clay lugs will not do a good job of adhering the vase to the chuck. And when the vase is not secured, it would go flying. So a bisque chuck that has absorbed some water would dry out the clay lugs a little bit slower, giving me more time to trim. The final thing that I like to do, especially when trimming groggy stoneware, is burnishing. I basically just push the grog inside the clay surface. This makes the surface shiny and smooth and minimizes pinholes, but certain clay bodies and certain glazes are just prone to pinholes no matter what you do. Sometimes that's the intended effect and it can be very cool too. And this is the vase. It's just about over 10 inches tall, freshly thrown, and after 2 firings, I think it will be about 9.5 inches tall. I have high hope for this vase, but I also want to challenge myself throwing something that's even skinnier and taller using the same amount of clay or less.